Amelia Hart had always believed her home was her sanctuary, a place where the world's cruelty couldn't reach her. As a nurse working long night shifts at St. Mary's Hospital, she spent her days patching up broken bodies and comforting strangers' families. But when she returned home, she cherished the quiet moments with her 3-year-old daughter, Lily, and the warm, familiar embrace of her husband, Ethan. At least that's what she thought. The Hart house had begun to feel different lately. Cold, muted. Amelia tried to ignore it. She blamed the strange distance between her and Ethan on her shifts, stress, maybe even postpartum exhaustion that never fully left. But deep inside, her instincts, the same instincts that saved patients on the brink of death, whispered something else. Something is not right. Ethan had become too secretive with his phone, too defensive, too rehearsed in his affection. Even Lily had started pulling away from him, crying whenever he tried to carry her. Still, Amelia stayed silent. She had already lost her mother unexpectedly 2 years earlier. She couldn't bear the thought of losing anything else. It was a Monday evening when Amelia got home early from a shift. A colleague had offered to cover her last hour. She walked in quietly, hoping to surprise Ethan and Lily. Instead, the house was eerily quiet. Lily was asleep in her room. Ethan wasn't home yet. Amelia showered, changed into a robe, and settled into bed with Lily's baby monitor beside her. She didn't remember falling asleep, but she remembered waking up. A voice crackled through the baby monitor. Lily's room camera had motion detection, and someone had triggered it. Then she heard Ethan's voice. "Make sure you crush the pills well," he whispered sharply. "She can't suspect anything." A woman replied, her voice low and firm. "Relax, Ethan. I know what I'm doing. I've done it before. Once she drinks it, the toxicology report will look natural." Amelia's entire body froze. Ethan. And a woman. The woman continued, $5 million, Ethan. Once the insurance clears, we're gone. New names, new life. Just you, me, and the baby. Baby? Amelia felt the floor of her world tilt violently. Ethan exhaled shakily. "I just need her gone. Quickly. Cleanly. She's too suspicious these days." The room spun. Her skin went cold. Her heartbeat thundered so loudly she thought it would give her away through the speakers. "They want me dead." Her hands trembled uncontrollably as she grabbed her phone. 911? What's your emergency? Amelia's voice broke as she whispered, "My husband is planning to poison me. He's in my baby's room right now with his mistress. Please, please send officers. My daughter is in danger." The dispatcher's tone shifted instantly. "Ma'am, stay where you are. Officers are on their way. Can you lock your door?" Amelia clicked the door lock with shaking hands. Tears poured down her face. "What's your husband's name?" "Ethan? Ethan Hart." "And the woman?" I don't know her name." She pressed the baby monitor against her chest as if it could steady her heart. The voices continued. The woman, the mistress, was laughing now. Confident, heartless. "You hesitated with her mother," she said mockingly. "This time, you cannot fail." Amelia's blood ran cold. Her mother who had died suddenly, with no explanation. My God. Blue and red lights flashed through her curtains moments later. Officers surrounded the house. One approached her locked bedroom from the inside hallway. "Mrs. Hart, this is Officer Barnes. You're safe. We have your daughter." Amelia collapsed in relief, sobbing into her hands as the monitor caught the chaos. Ethan thrown to the ground, the mistress handcuffed, Lily lifted gently into an officer's arms. Her life had changed forever in a single night. But the nightmare was only beginning. The next morning, Amelia sat in the sterile interrogation room at the precinct, her hands clasped tightly around a cup of lukewarm coffee. Sleep had eluded her. Every shadow in the room seemed to whisper betrayal, every sound a reminder of the night that had nearly cost her life. Detective Barnes entered, a thick folder in his hands. "Mrs. Hart, we've begun going through your husband's accounts, emails, and phone records. What you overheard wasn't just a threat. There's a pattern here, and it's disturbing." Amelia felt her stomach drop. "What do you mean?" Barnes set the folder on the table and opened it. "Ethan Hart has been embezzling from your joint accounts for years. But more than that." He paused, lowering his voice. "We found evidence linking him to your mother's death 2 years ago. Toxicology reports, medical records, and even a witness statement from the caregiver he paid off." Amelia's breath caught in her throat. She felt like the room had tilted, like the air itself was heavy with betrayal. "You mean? He killed her?" Barnes nodded grimly. He was practicing. This insurance plot, the one you narrowly escaped, it wasn't his first time. Tears welled up in Amelia's eyes. The memories of her mother, the sudden illness, the funeral, the unanswered questions, all of it came rushing back. She felt the walls of her world collapse, brick by brick. As the investigation continued, more shocking truths surfaced. Ethan had been having a long-term affair with the woman Amelia had heard on the baby monitor, a pharmacist named Vanessa Clark, who was now revealed to be pregnant with his child. She had used her medical knowledge to manipulate and cover the tracks of the scheme. Every revelation made Amelia's heart ache, but her resolve hardened. She would not let them win. She would protect Lily and bring justice to those who had betrayed her so deeply. The media, however, had already begun catching wind of the case. Rumors of the scandal spread quickly. Friends and family she once trusted were now unsure where they stood, some hesitant to visit, others whispering behind her back. The betrayal was public now, and Amelia found herself navigating a minefield of judgment, suspicion, and shame. Through the haze of anger, grief, and fear, Amelia held tightly to Lily. She whispered promises of safety, of love, and of a future where they could live without fear. She knew the road ahead would be long, the emotional scars deep, but she had survived the first, most dangerous night. Weeks later, the trial began. Prosecutors laid out a chilling narrative of premeditation, greed, and cold-blooded manipulation. Ethan's calm, collected demeanor in court contrasted starkly with the depth of his crimes, leaving Amelia fighting against waves of nausea and fury each time he smirked. Vanessa's presence, her growing belly visible beneath a dark coat, made Amelia's stomach twist with disgust and disbelief. The courtroom became a battlefield of truths and lies, each witness recounting events that exposed the calculated cruelty of the couple. But through it all, Amelia remained steadfast, her instincts sharp, her voice unwavering as she recounted the night that had saved her life. Outside the courtroom, she would sometimes pause, feeling the weight of what had happened. The city she once called home now felt tainted, every corner holding echoes of betrayal. She made a decision quietly, determinedly. She and Lily would leave, starting over somewhere new, where the shadows of Ethan and Vanessa could not follow. Her life had been shattered, but she was beginning to see the first threads of survival, the faint glimmer of strength and autonomy. The nightmare was far from over, but Amelia Hart had discovered one undeniable truth. Instincts, vigilance, and courage could save a life, and in her case, they had saved two. The courthouse buzzed with a mixture of curiosity, sympathy, and morbid fascination. Amelia Hart entered with Lily's small hand tucked firmly in hers, the toddler's innocent eyes scanning the intimidating marble halls. Reporters craned their necks, cameras flashing, but Amelia held her head high. She would not let fear or shame define her. Inside the courtroom, the tension was palpable. Ethan Hart sat beside his lawyer, his smug demeanor unchanged, while Vanessa Clark rested her hand on her growing belly, exuding a calculated calm. The prosecution began their case with a chilling recount of the night Amelia had narrowly escaped death. The baby monitor recordings were played, the hushed voices of Ethan and Vanessa filling the room. Amelia felt a shiver run down her spine as the judge called for silence. Detective Barnes was called to testify, presenting a meticulous trail of evidence. Drained joint accounts, secret purchases of poisons, and correspondence between Ethan and Vanessa plotting the murder. Every word, every document, confirmed what Amelia had feared. This betrayal was years in the making. When it came time for Amelia to speak, her voice trembled but did not break. She recounted the night she had heard them plotting, the terror, the frantic call to 911, and the relief of seeing Lily safe in the arms of the officers. Each detail cut through the courtroom, painting a picture of a man she had once trusted and a woman she had never suspected. The defense tried to discredit her, calling her overly imaginative and emotional, but the baby monitor recording left no room for doubt. Even Vanessa's calm testimony crumbled under the weight of physical evidence. Fingerprints, toxicology records, and bank statements. But the emotional toll on Amelia was immense. Her sister, who had come to support her, held her hand during recesses, whispering encouragement. Her father struggled to mask his anger, the betrayal still fresh and raw. Friends had distanced themselves, leaving Amelia to feel the isolating weight of public scrutiny. Outside the courtroom, the press speculated relentlessly. Headlines screamed of murder plots, betrayal, and scandal, casting shadows over Amelia's reputation. Every outing, every grocery trip felt invasive. People stared, whispered. She was no longer just a nurse or a mother. She was a symbol of survival against a nightmare that had touched everyone. Weeks turned into months as the trial unfolded. Witnesses, forensic experts, and detectives painted a damning picture of premeditated greed and cruelty. It was revealed that Ethan had treated his mother-in-law's death as a practice run, and Vanessa had exploited her position as a pharmacist to manipulate medications and cover the evidence. The courtroom gasped as the chilling sequence of their crimes was laid bare. Finally, after endless hours of testimony and cross-examination, the jury retired. The minutes dragged like hours, every tick of the clock echoing in Amelia's chest. When they returned, the courtroom fell silent. One by one, the charges were read. Guilty on all counts. Conspiracy to commit murder, fraud, and manslaughter for Ethan's part in her mother's death. Vanessa guilty for conspiracy, attempted murder, and aiding and abetting. Amelia felt a mixture of relief and exhaustion. Justice had been served, but the emotional scars remained. Ethan and Vanessa were led away in handcuffs, their smirks gone, replaced by a grim awareness of the lives they had destroyed. As the gavel fell, signaling the end of the trial, Amelia finally allowed herself to exhale. She held Lily close, whispering promises of safety and a new beginning. She had survived the ultimate betrayal, faced the darkest truths of the man she loved, and emerged stronger, determined to rebuild her life. Yet even as the courthouse emptied, Amelia knew one thing. Her journey was far from over. Healing would take time, and the echoes of betrayal would linger. But she had learned the power of instincts, courage, and vigilance. And she would carry that strength with her as she stepped into a future she would shape for herself and Lily. The city lights of Cedarbrook flickered outside the taxi window as Amelia Hart held Lily tightly on her lap. It was a new city, a new beginning, far from the shadows of betrayal, the courthouse drama, and the whispers of her old town. Every street corner, every unfamiliar face reminded her that the past could no longer touch her. Here, she would rebuild, for herself and for her daughter. Finding an apartment had been harder than she expected. She wanted a safe, bright space where Lily could play without fear and where she could reclaim a sense of normalcy. With the help of her sister Claire, who had moved with them, they created a home filled with laughter, warmth, and careful routines. Amelia returned to nursing, working in a children's hospital where she found purpose in healing lives rather than just protecting her own. Some nights, though, sleep was elusive. Memories of Ethan's betrayal and Vanessa's cruel smiles haunted her. She replayed the baby monitor recording in her mind, the voice that had saved her life, reminding her that vigilance could be survival. She forced herself to breathe, to remind herself that she had been given a second chance. Life in Cedarbrook was not without challenges. Amelia faced financial strain, the complexities of single parenthood, and lingering guilt for trusting someone so completely. But each day she found small victories. Lily's laughter echoing through the apartment, Claire's supportive words, the quiet pride of saving a life at work, even in the chaos of the hospital ward. Over time, Amelia began to reconnect with friends she had lost touch with, those who had stayed when it mattered most. She discovered a quiet strength within herself, a resilience born of trauma and survival. She allowed herself to grieve the past, but she refused to let it dictate her future. Lily thrived, blossoming under the care of her mother and aunt. Bedtime stories became rituals of love, their laughter filling rooms that once knew fear. Amelia often told Lily stories of courage and intuition, not revealing the darkness of the past, but teaching lessons of vigilance, self-trust, and inner strength. Months later, Amelia received a letter from the court. Ethan and Vanessa had been sentenced to decades in prison, ensuring they would never hurt another person. A sense of closure washed over her, though she knew some wounds would never fully disappear. She allowed herself a private moment of relief, whispering a promise to the universe. She would live fully, courageously, and without fear. One sunny afternoon, Amelia sat in a park with Lily and Claire, watching the toddler chase pigeons and giggle uncontrollably. She felt the warmth of the sun on her face and the beating of her own resilient heart. She had survived betrayal, survived fear, and survived heartbreak. Amelia had discovered the power of instincts, the strength and vigilance, and the depth of her own courage. Though her life had been shattered, she had rebuilt it, stronger and more beautiful than before. And as she watched Lily twirl in the sunlight, she realized something profound. Survival was only the beginning. Thriving was the true victory. The night the monitor spoke had changed everything, but it had also revealed the woman she was always meant to be. This is the end of this story. The moral lesson of this story is trust your instincts, stay vigilant, and never ignore the warning signs. Courage and awareness can save lives and expose the truth, even in the face of deep betrayal. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story of betrayal, survival, and courage, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more gripping tales. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode, and leave a comment telling us what you would do if you were in Amelia's shoes. See you in the next story.